of this being said, allow me to invite some of the speakers today, but I haven't seen one, but I'm sure she's maybe somewhere in the room. So allow me to invite Shahi Lim, the coordinator and hub manager at Ingenious City, one of Kinshasa soft leading innovation in entrepreneurship hub, supporting startups, creatives ecosystem, builders in the DRC. Through her work, she has helped foster community collaboration, early stage, venture growth within the city, rapidly evolving in the tech landscape as well. Welcome, Shahi. And the second panelist is Anna Subai. Is Anna around? That is a person I told you guys that maybe she's stuck in the traffic. And Kinshasa is well known for traffic as well, instead of investment and startups. But we'll see how maybe we can solve that problem. So the next person, he told me not to speak a lot of English, but English that we're going to speak here is very basic. So it's not like, I went to Oxford or Harvard. I was just nearby. And I learned it at New Hope College, one of the English schools here at Silicon Village. So if you don't understand, Silicon has everything. Come learn English this side. So allow me to invite Alex Kankolongo Bukasa, project manager at Enabel, the Belgian development agency. He has worked a lot of entrepreneurs and been leading a lot of programs as well. Welcome, Alex. And the next person, also very well known into this ecosystem, Safir. Yeah, we have Safir Ebale, the DR Congo and the Republic of Congo country director for investment officer at ProParco. Welcome, Safir. And we have Gerald Kronenberg. I don't have to present again Gerald. Should I present you again, Gerald? But allow me to introduce him, the managing director at Silicon Village. I shouldn't present again Silicon Village because I'm running out of time. So I think these are some of the panelists that we have. If Anna comes, please just lead her so that she can join us straight into this panel. I think the title is very interesting already, and you guys have known this title for quite some time now. So, and it's a question that we're asking. We're not saying that Kinshasa is the soft landing hub of Central Africa. So it's the question that we're asking. So, first of all, we need to understand, according to you, I think you guys all have the microphones, right? So we're going to see if Kinshasa is really the hub when it comes to everything startups, investment in Central Africa. Because Kinshasa in itself is a country. It's the population of Gabon, Congo, just across the river, and a lot of countries. So we have a country within a country, and which causes a lot of traffic. So I would like to ask, maybe to start the question with, I think I'll go with Shahi, knowing that you've been into this ecosystem for so long. What are the characteristics to define a successful soft landing hub in an emerging market, according to you?
Thank you. So for me, just to define simply the soft landing, it's an ecosystem, an environment where an entrepreneur can come and launch, test, structure, and make his startup grow without any disruption, such as in administrative sector, in finance, or in culture. So for that, you need some simple ingredients. We will say it like this. Registering your startup easily, mostly digitally. In most of lending countries, it's digital. And also, it should be not expensive. That's one of the first characteristics of a soft landing environment. Also, you need an ecosystem of support, entrepreneurship support that is functional, that is accessible to entrepreneurs. And you also need access to financing, and like the financing ecosystem should be complete. I will say those are for me the three main.
But do we see some other things or some element in that lining up right now, or do we still have to work a lot to make it, to meet those characteristics?
So if we talk about Kinshasa, I will say for the registration it's quite complicated for now. I will say we have a growing and dynamic support, entrepreneurial support system that can help, but also the financing ecosystem is a little bit limited, and we also need to work on that.
Okay, great. Maybe I'll go to Gerald to just ask him a question to know where does this short compare to other African countries?
I think we shouldn't compare to other African countries. I think and this is something I realized as well when we started in 2020, the copy-paste or rocket internet model doesn't work. Every ecosystem has its own cultural behavior, has its own pace, has its own rules, and I think we have to walk along the ecosystem. We cannot go faster than the ecosystem is growing. But I strongly believe that we have to be there to help the ecosystem growing based on experience that we have seen across the continents. So we all know where we want to go, but I think it takes time. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of conviction. So yeah, I would never compare one ecosystem with another because I think this is a wrong approach.
Okay, so no comparison of Kinshasa or the Congo to other countries, which is good. Knowing that Silicon Village has been, I would say, an entry door to, or an entry to a lot of initiatives from okay, please. So it has been an entry, I can change my microphone, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of people coming here at Silicon. I've seen a lot of people, sorry for that. I've seen a lot of people coming here at Silicon. I've seen some people from the MIT. I've seen some people from the World Bank. I've seen, because I'm connected to Silicon Online as well. But then the question is, how well does Kinshasa enable access to this Central Africa market?
So the question is as well today, for who is this soft landing? I think today we are still, as we mentioned, an emerging market. I think for the local entrepreneurs, we are already enabling them this soft landing by partnering up with DFIs, by partnering up with hubs. But I think what's still missing, and that's what we're working on today, is this international visibility, and to attract foreign scale-ups or investors to come and see this huge market which is still undeployed. So I think this is something which is missing today compared to other ecosystems.
Okay.
So,
but when those people are coming, what is it that they say? Because I just want to go here. What is it that they say about the city? Because I've seen, because I remember I went to, it was Nairobi, and most of the time, Kinshasa or Congo in general, we are well known for war. Some people might think that, you know, the only thing that they see when you talk to them about Congo, il y a la guerre. No, there is war. But then I know that, you know, some of these investors or some of these people that do come here at Silicon to just see the market and see what is happening here, most of the time they just discover the country and they discover this city as well. But what is it, if I can say, I know it's maybe a testimony that they'll say about the city, but what is it that they say? Should it be about the population, the market that is present, and the needs that are present concerning infrastructure and other things? What is it that they say, and what is it that they're looking for?
yeah, so I think, first of all, as you said, so there is a huge population, 60% under 25 years old. It's a country in a country. The market is yet to take. But I believe for foreign investors or scale-ups, the key message would be partner up with local players, because it is a complex market and the entry barrier are high, administratively, infrastructurally. So if you have a local partner, and it could be a DFI, it could be a hub like us, or it could even be local startups, they will help accelerate the success process, I believe.
All right, maybe I'll go over to Safir, knowing that you are working at Proparco. I was working closely with Proparco as well at the French embassy, and knowing exactly what you guys are doing. So just the question is to know exactly when it comes to investment, because you guys work with the private sector. What is it that we can do right now, and maybe you will help us as incubators and accelerators? What can we do to make these SMEs sitting right here to meet your criteria so that they can maybe match some investment that you guys have?
Thank you so much. Just two things before I answer the question. The first thing, I unfortunately have a hard stop at 11:45. The second thing, back to the presentation, the keynote before around how much startup fundraising was raised in Congo. I think there's two caveats that need to be taken into consideration because it skews up the number. The first one is Nuru. Nuru is not necessarily like a startup. It's really an energy EPC, which Proparco is a shareholder. The second one, Jambo, I would consider it a fraud. And most of the fundraising that they raised was through Alameda, which crashed with the whole FTX situation. So it skews up the numbers. So those are the first two things. To first answer the question, is Kinshasa necessarily like the hub for or soft landing for Central Africa? I would argue no. I'd say the soft landing hub for Central Africa is actually Cameroon. And for a couple of reasons. I cover equity investing for Central Africa and spend a lot of time in Cameroon. The first thing with Cameroon is it's the largest market in the CEMAC region. So through Cameroon, you do first have access to a large market, and then you have access to other secondary markets within the same common currency zone. The second thing too, from a regulatory perspective, for example, today the CEMAC region has regulation around, for example, setting up a fund. And today there is a fund that has set up that has the license to be a fund domiciled in Cameroon, for example, and can expand. So that's the other thing. Similar to what my co-panelist said around like some of the ingredients that you need in terms of an ecosystem, you need access to talent, you need access to funding, and especially in nascent ecosystems like Congo, like Cameroon, and even Congo across the river, you need a lot of angel investing. And the first thing you need to do in order to have angel investing, you have to teach the angels what the concept of equity investing is. The fact that you're going to invest a check, you might not get it back, you might never see it, you might lose that, but high risk, high reward, right? And I'd say in Cameroon, one, there's talent. I don't know if you guys know Boya. Boya is a university in Cameroon where there's a lot of tech talent that comes out of there, where they go work at the Googles, at the Metas of the world. So there's tech talent. The second thing is there's a lot of encouragement for young entrepreneurs to go and pursue entrepreneurship, startups, etc. The advantage that they do have, Cameroon is right next to Nigeria. It's a big market, one of the big fours, if not the big fours when you look at the last 10 years. They're bilingual as well. So there's a lot of just cross-pollination talent and just knowledge sharing. And in nascent ecosystems, you need a lot of knowledge exchange. And Congo needs to be connected not only to the big fours in terms of exchanging, but also to just like the CEMAC region, i.e. Cameroon.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe just going back to the question that I asked about the criterias, like what is it? Because I do invest in some companies, SMEs that do have a certain level of maturity. So what is it that you can tell some of the SMEs sitting right here that they should do in order for them maybe to enter into those brackets of investment when it comes to Proparco?
Yes, we also invest in startups. So we have a subsidiary called Digital Africa, which you guys probably saw. Digital Africa is here. And we've invested in startups in Congo. We've actually invested in 3 startups in Congo. One of them that you guys saw that raised money in 2025, Musikin. We invested in that. The first startup that Digital Africa invested in was actually a startup in Goma. So the East, yes, it's scary, but there's opportunities in the East. It's a pharma tech startup. So the way we invest in these early stage startups is we partner with the ecosystems like Silikin, like Orange Digital Center. And we have and Digital Africa has a vocation to invest in startups in ecosystems where it's not the big four. It's like the Congos of the world, it's the Cameroons of the world, it's the Zimbabwe's and the Zambias of the world. And today Digital Africa's startup portfolio, which is about 60 startups, you have a high concentration actually in Central Africa, and you have a high concentration actually in Cameroon across different industries. So what I would say, like for startup entrepreneurs as well as SMEs, which could fit Proparco's investment criteria, is have a solid business plan, have some traction, really understand your market. We understand the realities. I spend a lot of my time convincing my colleagues in Paris that you should invest in Congo. And you have to, it's my job to describe the risk profile, the realities, but also to contextualize the realities of what's going on in Congo to ease their risk increase their risk appetite to put more money in Congo. So there are advocates like myself, like others in the DFI ecosystem that want to encourage capital to come into Congo.
All right. Thank you, Safir. I will come back to you with some questions as well regarding maybe the ease of doing business and the ecosystem support that we do have right now. Je passe peut-être en français. Alex, moi, la question, c'est que je pense que tu as été assez présent dans cet écosystème et tu l'as vu évoluer. Avec les entrepreneurs, bien sûr qu'Enabel est en train de supporter à partir des incubateurs, à partir en tout cas de beaucoup d'autres programmes qui sont mis en place. C'est quoi l'évolution de cet esprit entrepreneurial? Parce que, encore une fois, bravo à Ingenious City. On a aujourd'hui une start-up, une success stories. Quand on les a, on doit dire que ce sont des success stories. School Up, qui est aujourd'hui international, et je pense qu'ils ont eu les supports de Ingenious City. Mais dans tout le support que vous apportez, en tout cas aux entrepreneurs, et au niveau des maturités, comment ça évolue, selon toi?
Merci Jonathan, bonjour à tous. Donc, je vais plutôt aborder la question comme agent de space de développement. Nous travaillons avec des incubateurs, des accélérateurs. Et il faut le dire, hein, donc, dans la jeunesse congolaise, c'était d'abord au début les mindset comme entrepreneurs qui n'y étaient pas. Donc beaucoup d'entre eux allaient vers l'entrepreneuriat par manque d'opportunités d'emploi. Et donc l'entrepreneur, comme c'est gratuit, ils peuvent essayer. Mais par la suite, dès qu'ils ont une opportunité d'emploi, vous avez investi en formation, en financement, et puis il laisse tout tomber. C'est lui qui est allé en emploi salarié. Parce qu'il faut le dire, être entrepreneur, ça demande beaucoup, surtout à Kinshasa. Il y a tous les obstacles. Bon, on ne les appelle plus obstacles chez nous, on les appelle défis parce qu'il faut les relever. Donc, donc, je me rappelle encore lors des Innovation Days, on parlait de la route qui peut devenir un fleuve un jour, et l'entrepreneur qui a un rendez-vous important, il se verra arriver en retard parce que bon, voilà, il ne peut pas atteindre. Donc, il y a tous ces défis qui mettent l'entrepreneur face à une solution qui commence à trouver impossible. Mais voilà, la chance, c'est avoir dans l'écosystème de start-up, qu'est-ce que je veux dire, des incubateurs, des accélérateurs, comme Ovation, comme Ingenious City, comme Kobo Hub, bien d'autres qui sont Silicon Village, avec qui nous travaillons déjà aussi, qui sont sur place, qui comprennent cette problématique et qui travaillent. Je veux vous dire que depuis 2021, que Nabel est dans cette thématique d'emploi, d'entrepreneuriat, à aujourd'hui, on a devant nous des jeunes qui ont maintenant un mindset différent. Ils comprennent qu'ils peuvent entreprendre, parce qu'il faut le dire aussi, notre système éducatif a été pour beaucoup. Donc, on ne nous a pas appris à l'école à être entrepreneur, on nous a appris à être chercheur d'emploi. C'est comme ça que ça demandait beaucoup de choses à refaire. Et aujourd'hui, on peut dire que les mindsets, il a évolué. Les entrepreneurs en face, ils sont à même de s'affronter sur le marché et à atteindre leur objectif.
J'ai envie de poser la question à tous, I'd like maybe this question to all of you. C'est que entreprendre, c'est une chose. Il y a beaucoup d'entrepreneurs qui sont présents ici. Entreprendre, c'est très bien. Vous avez une idée et vous partez, vous mettez en place. Il y a des incubateurs qui vont aider. Et tout ça, c'est super important. Mais moi, de mon observation par rapport aux différents marchés, c'est qu'il y a un gap entre entreprendre et gérer un business. C'est qu'ils peuvent bien commencer, non, je suis entrepreneur, je suis ceci. Ils peuvent même avoir un très bon produit. But how did they get it to the market? We've seen a lot of problems there. Parce que, just imagine, Kinshasa, about 17 million people, et tous ces entrepreneurs qui sont ici, they talk of investment. All of them, if you ask them a question, and I can even maybe point some of them here, I know them very well, so don't worry. So all of them, they will talk to you about investment. On cherche l'investissement, il n'y a pas suffisamment d'investissement, and so sometimes they don't even know if that is true or not, because they don't know where to knock. But if ever, let's say they go to Ingenious City ou bien Silicon Village, comment est-ce que vous parvenez quand même à montrer cette maturité business qui est un peu différente de la maturité d'une idée entrepreneuriale? Maybe I'll start with Shahi.
I think, as Gerald mentioned, the ecosystem is growing and it's changing. And I think also this mentality of doing entrepreneurship and focusing on wanting finances will also change, because there is scarcity of funding. Also, you also have to take the context into account that a lot of young people don't have access to love money. and to seed funding, you have to take that into account. I think if you attract more investment, if there are a pipeline of different investors, these two will evolve. They will see that you need some results first before trying to find fundings. You will need some traction, as we say, some customer. You also find way to, a lot of them find ways to bootstrap. It's really amazing when you talk with them. I think a lot of people focus on the young entrepreneurs are always seeking fundings and everything, but we should focus on what they can do with what they have actually. And it's sometimes the results are so amazing that you are in awe of what they did with bootstrapping actually and no money. So I think we also need to change our lecture of the ecosystem. The Congolese ecosystem is different. As we were talking when there were the presentation, all the people listed that raise money, they are all either an expatriate, so they come from another country, or they are what we call a diaspora, so some Congolese, but that evolved in another country. So maybe except Pascal from School App, you don't really have local successes that have raised money and everything. So I think things will evolve and change, and we just should deal with the card that we are given.
You know, I always say, though, I will ask maybe another question to Gerald, though things are evolving, but I think there is a lack of communication, I'm including Ovation into it as well, into advertising our success stories. I think they are not well advertised. Because most of the time, if you see, for instance, Nigeria, there is this company that is into, I forgot the name, but the name is they are into fintech. And all of them, when they speak of business in Nigeria, they do mention that startup, and it's a unicorn today, right? I think it's Wave, no, it's not Wave, maybe. Flutterwave, thank you. All of them, when we speak of Nigeria, we see fintech, we'll see Flutterwave, right? But then when we here in Congo, and a lot of incubators that are present in the country, we do not market properly our success stories. Because at some point, this can be an encouragement to people saying that, okay, if he has done this, I can also be able to do it. If he didn't go out of the Congo to study or to get into these investment kind of things, I can also be able to do it, right? He's a local guy, and I really appreciate the effort that he has put into his business to grow it, and today they're in Dubai, and I believe he's not with all that is happening right now, so I believe he's in Congo and he's a bit safe, and I believe the situation will get better. Gerald, knowing that, so I'll come back to the business maturity of some of the startups that you guys are working with. How is it?
Just to go back quickly, so indeed, why are people going to Dubai, and why don't we have those success stories locally? I think one of the main key reasons, and I think we mentioned before, is to succeed here is not only the private sector that is incubating, accelerating, or investors. We need the government support. We need rules, we need regulations, otherwise people will leave. They will succeed in finding funding, but they will leave. And that's the issue of the success stories that we don't have today here. And I think if we can manage to shift that, then we will really be able to start seeing success stories locally. And of course, we'll be very proud to announce them. So I think that's really a key message I want to pass here, because we cannot do it alone. It needs to be a public-private effort. So yeah, that's one thing on the success stories. And again, finding funding, I think it's all about sensibilization campaign to startups here. It's not just an idea and finding funding. You need to be able to be investment ready. And what is investment ready? You need to be able to have a proof of concept. You need to be able to have your data room. You need to have to convince the investor that your product will have a great return, because investors are there for returns. It's not free money, and sorry to say, but this is the reality of life. And I think we need, as hubs, to create sensibility campaigns towards our startups with startup boot camps to prepare them for this investment readiness. Because if you have a good product, if you have a good story, money there is, I mean, it's there. It's just telling the right story and structuring yourself professionally. And I'm sure you'll get it.
All right, thank you so much. So another question, maybe I'll ask maybe the question to Safir, is to know, because people see traffic just as something common, but I think there is also some business risk and a lot of things that are also attached to like the ease of doing business in the country. I'll give an example. Like let's say you've got a meeting and then I have to go maybe to Maluku, very far in the, is it south? Or very far, like, you know, beyond the airport. And then I have to go there and it takes me 4 hours to get that place. And a lot of people, because I've also met some investors, and sometimes they just tell me that, you know, you guys, even the mobility of people is very hard in Kinshasa. We understand regulations and all this, but the mobility of people is very hard. How do you see today the situation in Kinshasa, the environment, the infrastructure that are present? Is there anything that we can say on positioning Kinshasa as a soft landing hub, knowing that we've got 17 million people, right? About 17 million people living in this city, which can also be something very strong for the market. But then how do we cap that market and retain it right here in the Congo? Knowing that, you know, with all these things of traffic that can also affect sometimes the ease of doing business in the country.
Yeah, I mean, traffic is it's not just a Kinshasa problem, right? I don't know if you've ever been to Lagos, Nigeria. There's traffic. There's a lot of traffic. But I think in terms, like, yes, we do need road infrastructure. That's very important because in order to have commerce, you need roads, you need railroads. But especially in this context of we're talking about tech startups, what do we actually need? We need electricity and we need connectivity, right? And as a development finance institution, we're spending a lot of time investing in energy projects, investing in telecoms projects to increase connectivity in Congo. Because at the end of the day, the good thing about technology is you can be anywhere in the world as long as you have electricity and you have access to the internet, you can innovate. And even back to maybe the point around entrepreneurs building traction. Today there's a lot of technology where, I mean, I personally don't know how to code, but I know I can ask some artificial intelligence to build me an app, right? So today I'd say the cost of creating an MVP is cheaper than maybe even 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So I think it's also important today for startup entrepreneurs to build that traction, come in front of an investor and have something to show. And it's up to us also to put in that pre-seed check.
Okay, maybe
I would like just to add something because yes, you have a lot of issues. Infrastructure is one of them. But who says issues says opportunity. Yeah. And I think that's the key message. Everything is still to be able to be constructed, or ideas, innovation ideas can be done here. Proof of concept can be set up here. So I think that's the thing. So if you have a lot of issues, okay, then you have a lot of solutions that can be built for those issues. Definitely. So it's only an opportunity.
Definitely. So the more problems we have, the more companies we can create. And also, yeah, that is true. That's true. Because if there's no problem, then what are you trying to solve with your idea or anything that you have? And there is also one mentality that I always tell, linking it to the traffic and the rain, because this is very bad mentality. Allow me to say that, because I've never seen it before, is that when it rains, people are allowed to come even 2 hours late for meetings. And then if you get maybe a business meeting with someone, including some of the entrepreneurs here, they can allow themselves to come like maybe 2 hours late and saying there was traffic. But is that an excuse when it comes to doing business? So all of you, we agree that it's not an excuse, because I will later maybe talk to some of the startups that you have right here. You want to say something?
Yes, I'm not okay with that statement, because we know that you live maybe around here. There are some areas where you can't go out when there is the rain, and we all have seen the images. So sometimes you also have to take that into account and be lenient toward entrepreneurs, because there are some areas where you cannot set a foot outside.
Definitely, I do understand, and I also know that reality. Peut-être Alex.
Ouais, je veux
oui, vas-y.
ce que Shahi a dit, donc c'est vrai. C'est pas une excuse. Moi, je suis totalement d'accord, mais bon. Comme elle l'a dit, il y a certains quartiers, certaines communes, quand il pleut, tu ne peux pas mettre ton pied dehors. Et tu n'as même pas la possibilité de bouger. Mais ça reste, l'investisseur ne va pas comprendre ça. Mais ce qu'il faut, c'est toujours développer, quand tu sais que tu vis dans un quartier où il pleut, il faut toujours développer une technique ou avoir une tenue de rechange qui était chez toi avec une tenue, la changer en cours de route. Mais finalement, arriver à ton rendez-vous, quoi.
D'accord. Alors, peut-être une dernière question. La dernière question, c'est... Je sais qu'il y a le FPM aujourd'hui qui collabore avec Enabel. Est-ce que tu peux nous dire un peu comment cette collaboration aide en tout cas à bien positionner certaines startups ici à Kinshasa. Je sais qu'ils font un peu partout, mais je voudrais vraiment garder le focus sur l'impact des financements du FPM grâce à Enabel sur les startups à Kinshasa.
Peut-être pour la petite histoire, c'est qu'Enabel, depuis 2021, on a longtemps réfléchi sur comment financer les entrepreneurs parce que un financement qui vient gratuit, ils ne les prennent pas vraiment très au sérieux et ça les empêche de se développer. Il faut un financement qui vient avec un minimum de redevabilité pour permettre à l'entrepreneur de prendre ses responsabilités. Et depuis 2021 jusqu'à maintenant, les fonds donnés peut-être en location-vente aux entrepreneurs n'ont pas vraiment produit des effets positifs. Alors il fallait shifter, trouver une solution un peu plus durable. Je parle sur notre expert financement que j'ai vu quelque part dans la salle. Ça veut dire voilà, trouver une structure qui peut remplacer les Enabel. Bien sûr, il y a des fonds de garantie que nous plaçons, mais que l'entrepreneur comprenne qu'il doit rembourser, il doit travailler pour ça. Et aujourd'hui, je suis ravi de dire que c'est des institutions financières qui se sont mis à adhérer à cette idée, ont vraiment compris que ça valait la peine parce qu'il y a des projets que nous accompagnons qui sont tellement innovants avec Ovation, avec Silicon Village bientôt, avec d'autres entrepreneurs, des centres de ressources pour ça là. Donc vous comprenez que les institutions financières comme la FINCA, voilà, il y en a plusieurs qui se sont adhérés et les FM restent une interface entre les entrepreneurs et les institutions financières. Pour mettre en place un fonds de garantie, ça veut dire qu'Enabel place 40%, la structure financière place 40% et l'entrepreneur doit amener 20%. Et déjà les 20% que l'entrepreneur présente, ça démontre son engagement et voilà, sa volonté d'atteindre son objectif. Donc aujourd'hui, on a des financements qui sont en cours, pas qu'à Kinshasa, comme tu l'as dit, un peu plus sur l'étendue de la République, mais ici à Kinshasa. Je peux vous dire que d'ici la fin de cette année, comme on a commencé tard en fin d'année dernière, d'ici la fin de cette année, on aura des chiffres bien précis de nombre d'entrepreneurs qui ont été financés via ces dispositifs, combien ils ont pu produire en termes de chiffres d'affaires et voilà les emplois qui seront aussi créés derrière. Parce qu'il faut les dire, l'efficacité ou l'indicateur que nous prélevons derrière, mis à part les chiffres d'affaires que l'entrepreneur arrive à faire, c'est la création de la valeur, c'est tous les emplois qu'il arrive à créer après lui. Donc on va dire les entreprises formelles qui sont là ne peuvent pas tout engager de la population congolaise. Right. Mais si les entrepreneurs congolais peuvent engager d'autres Congolais, ça fait que Enabel joue son rôle de créer et d'améliorer l'employabilité ici en RDC.
Très bien. Peut-être juste pour conclure, on revient maintenant, sur base des discussions que nous venons de faire, on revient à la question. Is Kinshasa the soft landing hub of Central Africa? En tout cas, dans quelques minutes, parce qu'on doit prendre quelques questions, pas quelques minutes, quelques secondes. Hein. So just to answer now to that question, is Kinshasa the soft landing hub for Central Africa?
I will say no, but it is the highest potential hub in Central Africa.
Thank you. Inspiring.
Je suis désolé, Shahi, moi je vais dire oui. Donc je vais dire oui. Donc Kinshasa, c'est les soft landing au niveau de l'Afrique régionale pour bien de raisons. Je vais énumérer quelques-unes un peu en passant. Ça veut dire que la population, déjà comme tu l'as dit au départ, on ne peut pas mettre ça comme le seul facteur, mais c'est déjà un très grand facteur. Pour tout investisseur, la population et les marchés en face, c'est un grand facteur à prendre en compte. Et pour vous dire, pour la petite histoire, renseignez-vous, aucune entreprise étrangère s'est installée en RDC et a fermé et est partie. Toutes les entreprises qui viennent trouvent du marché, s'installent et progressent.
Il y a un grand débat là-dessus. But I'll go to Gerald to answer maybe the same question.
Again, it depends for whom. For whom, and is Kinshasa or is the DRC maybe the central hub for Central Africa? So I think it depends for whom.
Okay. Safir?
I'd say no, but it can be, but there's a lot of steps required. So we're talking about 20 million people, but if the 20 million people are not do not have STEM education, so do not know how to use these tools, the technological tools, then it's just 20 million people. I'd say from a regulation perspective, there needs to be ease of doing business, especially for startup entrepreneurs, because it's quite risky. And the government has a very, very important key role to play in that. That's exactly what happened in Egypt. The government played a key role in investing and supporting the entrepreneurship ecosystem, even from an education perspective. And today, Egypt is one of the big four.
All right. So I know it's hard, for sure. I know that, but for sure, again. But I can tell you that sooner or later, Kinshasa will stand and it will be the hub. If you want to succeed, come to Kinshasa. That is what I can say right now. But we'll take quickly 2 questions, and then we'll answer them. Please be brief and precise with your questions. Is there any question in the room?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a question there.
Merci beaucoup. Gisèle Chamala, je suis directrice de promotion à l'Agence nationale pour la promotion des investissements. Monsieur le modérateur, excusez-moi, je ne vais pas poser une question, mais c'est avec votre permission, est-ce que je peux juste intervenir pour faire une observation, si vous le permettez?
1 minute, s'il vous plaît.
Alors, il n'y a pas beaucoup de temps. Ce que j'ai remarqué ici, c'est qu'il n'y a que des privés. Alors, vous n'avez pas donné d'espace pour qu'une institution publique qui s'occupe des investissements puisse aussi intervenir pour peut-être enrichir les débats. Donc, je n'ai pas beaucoup de temps, mais ce que je pourrais juste dire, c'est rebondir sur, je crois, l'intervention de M. Alex. Non, ce n'est pas M. Alex, c'est M. Gérard. M. Gérard qui parlait du climat des affaires et que si il y a beaucoup qui ne restent pas, c'est à cause du fait que le climat n'est pas bon. Il y a beaucoup de défis, je veux bien. Je vais faire en 1 minute.
La corruption surtout, hein, la corruption.
Et laissez-moi finir, s'il vous plaît. Moi, je veux parler des startups. Je veux juste parler des startups et je veux mettre un point qui est très important, c'est l'information. Ouais. Les startups, c'est vrai, ils entreprennent, mais il faut toujours commencer par l'information. Le gouvernement met en place beaucoup de structures d'accompagnement, d'encadrement des startups. Il y a beaucoup de réformes qui peuvent se découvrir tout ce qui est fait à travers les réformes, les lois. Est-ce qu'ils lisent les lois? Est-ce qu'ils viennent vers les structures d'accompagnement pour les appuyer? Est-ce qu'ils restent attachés avec eux? Nous sommes là pour un partenariat public-privé, mais il faudra qu'ils restent. En fait, ils ne s'approprient pas ces réformes-là. Et c'est facile de dire, oh non, on n'est pas accompagné et tout ça. Mais Madame Shahi est là. Elle a parlé juste de School Up. Avec Ingenieur City, on a parlé, on a produit beaucoup de startups qui ont réussi, qui sont aujourd'hui des chefs d'entreprise. Ils ont bénéficié et capté tout ce que l'État fait en faveur. Aujourd'hui, je veux juste vous dire une chose, le Code des investissements est en pleine revisitation et on a réfléchi pour pouvoir accompagner les startups et les petites entreprises. Revenez vers nous et surtout, suivez ce que nous faisons et vous allez voir qu'il y a beaucoup de choses pour vous. Si vous restez proche des services d'accompagnement, vous verrez que on ne vous offre pas le ciel, mais c'est possible d'investir et de réussir.
Merci beaucoup, madame. Et bien sûr, il y a le gouvernement qui fait beaucoup d'efforts. Il y a le FOGEC, il y a l'ANEDEC qui est en train de s'implanter dans pas mal de provinces. Il y a le Startup Act aussi, donc on sait très bien que le gouvernement est en train de faire beaucoup d'efforts et on ne prend pas ça juste à la légère. Mais ça va prendre du temps, mais en même temps, le business doit évoluer. Mais step by step, on sait qu'on va y arriver. So, quickly, the last question, in the next 30 seconds that we have. On peut prendre une question juste là. Sorry, il y aura un break après, donc feel free to approach them and ask them some questions. Très rapidement, s'il vous plaît.
Good day, all. My name is Ivan. I'm a fintech founder, actually based in Kinshasa. I'm going to be brief on this one. I've got a question for Safir. You've mentioned about investing into a company or startup called Musicin last year. Are you interested into fintech, or what sector exactly do you invest in? That's my question.
Yeah, for Digital Africa, we look at all tech-enabled sectors. So we've invested in, I mentioned healthcare, I mentioned fintech, we've invested in ICC tech, for example. We've invested in logistics. So if you go on the Digital Africa website, you'll see all of the startups that we've invested in. I believe I do have a colleague from Digital Africa who's here. So yeah. We're interested in all sectors. The 3 startups that we invested in Congo, so Musicin is in ICC, Valorigo and Goma is pharmatech, and we also invested in Meka, which is fintech. So across sectors.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll have time to talk to them directly. I'm sorry, I can't allow any question anymore because we're running after time. So I'd like to thank all our speakers. Thank you for this very interesting session, and I thank you all.